Okay, let's dive in. What if a really dry technical user manual, the kind you normally just toss aside, actually held the secrets to, well, the future of information management?
Yeah, it's funny how that works sometimes.
Today, that's exactly what we're doing. We're taking a deep dive into a user guide for a pretty powerful system called Doxis webCube 14.0.0.
Right. And you've given us these excerpts from the Doxis webCube 14.0.0 user guide. Our mission today really is to cut through all the technical jargon.
Like a shortcut.
Exactly. Shortcut to understanding how modern businesses actually handle their information. We'll look at how it organizes things, manages workflows, security, collaboration, the whole package.
And it's not just about software specs, is it? It's more about seeing the architecture behind how companies manage their most critical asset, their data, their information.
Absolutely. From indexing methods to legal compliance details, this guide sort of peels back the curtain on enterprise content management, or ECM, what really makes it work.
So where do we start? What are the core ideas here?
Well, one of the first things that jumps out is this analogy they use in the guide itself. They compare the Doxis IECM suite to a conventional library.
A library. Okay, like with books and shelves?
Kind of. They even mention a fictitious library classifying books, like Adam Smith. But Doxis applies that idea digitally, obviously, to business documents, invoices, emails, designs, HR files, you name it. No physical shelves here.
So the key is how it organizes them, like a librarian would.
Precisely. It's all about indexing. Documents get tagged with descriptors. Think supplier name, invoice number, subject, things that make them easy to find later.
Like a library catalog card, but digital.
Exactly. And the system's smart enough to grab some basic info automatically, like the creation date. They call those document properties.
Okay, that makes sense. But with potentially sensitive stuff like HR files or designs, access must be a huge deal.
Oh, fundamental. It's a multi-user system, so controlling who sees what is critical. You can't have everyone accessing everything.
Right. Engineering shouldn't see personnel files, and vice versa.
Exactly. So logging on is like showing your ID card. The system checks who you are and decides what data and functions you're entitled to use. It's all based on your role and responsibilities.
And this isn't just happening in my browser, is it? There's more going on behind the scenes.
Correct. It's a multi-tiered setup. Your browser talks to a Doxis webCube application server, which then talks to a Doxis CSB server. That CSB server is the real workhorse, handling the requests and the data. It's built for enterprise scale.
CSB server, can that handle, like, different departments or even whole companies?
Yes, that's a key point.
Yeah.
One Doxis CSB server can manage multiple independent companies, agencies, or divisions. They call these organizations. So when you log in, you use a server profile to connect to your specific organization. Keeps everything separate and secure.
Which means my browser needs to be set up correctly to talk to all this.
Right. The guide mentions specific settings for browsers like Firefox. You need to allow custom colors, fonts, JavaScript, cookies, pop-ups too.
Pop-ups, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and for certain authentication methods like Kerberos, you need to mark Doxis webCube as a trusted site. It's pretty detailed, actually.
Okay, so we're logged in securely. How does the system actually handle the documents day to day, the whole life cycle?
Right, let's get into managing the information. First step is filing documents. Basically becoming a digital librarian.
So getting stuff into the system.
Exactly. It's about acquiring the data, defining how it should be indexed, and then submitting it to the server.
And you mentioned indexing earlier. Is that where document class comes in?
Precisely. When you file something new, you first pick its document class, the right category. Think of it as choosing the right shelf in the digital library. These classes are usually set up specifically for the organization.
Indexing sounds like it could be a tedious work.
It can be, but Doxis seems to have some clever ways to make it easier. You fill out these forms called filing dialogues with the descriptor values.
Okay.
But here's the cool part. It suggests proposal values based on what you've entered before. And even better, there's magic extraction.
Magic extraction sounds intriguing.
It is. If you're viewing a document in the HTML5 viewer, Doxis machine learning models can actually identify and highlight potential index values right in the document. You just click to confirm them.
Wow, okay. That speeds things up.
Definitely. And good indexing is absolutely vital. Imagine trying to find one specific invoice in a system with millions of documents.
Yeah.
Without good indexing, it's almost impossible.
Needle in a haystack.
Exactly. Accurate indexing makes retrieval fast and precise.
What about filing lots of documents at once, like a whole batch of invoices?
Yep, they cover batch filing. You can acquire and index multiple documents together. You can apply the same index values to the whole batch, or go through and index each one manually if needed. It's a
Yeah.
big time saver.
So documents are in. How do we view them?
Good question. There are two main display views mentioned: ICA document display and classic document display. Functionally, they do the same things, but the look and feel of the user interface is different, just offers user choice, really.
And can I view documents in different ways, like not just in the Doxis window?
Yeah, lots of options. You can view them in your web browser in that built-in HTML5 viewer we mentioned, or even launch them in their native application, like Microsoft Word if it's a DOCX file.
Oh, and they mentioned Microsoft Office for the web integration too. That's handy.
Very convenient. Plus, within the display itself, you can customize quite a bit. You can choose whether to see things like annotation lists, the activity feed, thumbnails. You can move them around, resize panes, tailor your workspace.
Okay, customization is good. But you mentioned AI earlier. Does that come into play when viewing documents?
It absolutely does. This is where it gets really interesting, I think. The guide talks about creating a document summary through AI,
A summary, generated automatically.
either automatically or you can trigger it on demand. And even more, you can apparently chat about the document with AI. Ask it questions directly in a chat field.
Whoa. So the document becomes interactive almost? It can tell you what it's about or answer specific questions?
That's the idea. It really shifts the document from being just static information to something you can interrogate, something that provides insights. It's a big step.
That really is a leap. What about collaboration? Adding notes and comments?
Yep. Annotations. You can add things like highlighters, stamps, text boxes, arrows, sticky notes, even hyperlinks.
And these don't change the original document.
No, that's key. They're saved separately from document content. They live in annotation layers, usually organized by who created them. So the original stays pristine.
Good. And if I need more context about a document, like its history?
The sidebar is your friend there. It gives you access to all sorts of extra info, different versions, all the index values, descriptors, properties, links to related items where it's used, full history log, and any subscriptions related to it. It's all right there.
Okay, comprehensive. Now, what about actually changing documents, editing and versioning?
Right. The system makes a distinction. You can change the supplementary info, like the index values, or you can change the actual content of the document. Different actions.
And documents can exist in different formats simultaneously.
Yes, they use the term representations. So a single logical document might have, say, a DOCX representation and a PDF representation.
Okay.
And each representation can contain multiple content objects. Think of scanning a 10-page document as JPGs. Each page image could be a separate content object within that one JPG representation.
Makes sense. How do they stop two people from editing the same thing at once?
That's the classic checkout, edit, check-in cycle. You check out a document, which locks it on the server so only you can edit it. A working copy downloads to your machine.
Then I edit it locally.
Right. When you're done, you check it in. That uploads your changes and unlocks the document on the server for others. Pretty standard, but crucial.
And how does it handle versions? If I change something, does it save the old one?
That depends on its mutability, a key concept.
Yeah.
It defines whether changes create a brand new version or just replace the old one.
Why the difference?
Legal reasons, often. Think about an invoice. You need a record of every single version, every change. That would likely be set up to create a new version each time.
Okay.
But maybe for an internal draft of a product manual, you only care about the final published versions.
Yeah.
So edits might just overwrite the previous draft until it's formally published. Versions can be marked as current, open, being worked on, or frozen, archived, unchangeable.
So you can manage all these different versions, see a list, switch between them.
Absolutely. You can view the version list, publish a working version, set which one is a current official version, freeze old ones, even delete earlier versions if they're truly obsolete and policy allows.
What about signing documents electronically?
Yes, it supports electronic signatures. You can apply them to specific document versions, and they get tied to a specific content object within that version. Adds a layer of authenticity.
Can you sign anything?
Almost. The guide notes a limitation. Link documents, where the actual file isn't stored in Doxis, which is linked to, apparently cannot be signed within the system.
Good to know. And how detailed can the permissions get? Who can do what to which document?
Very granular. Under rights management, you can see and change specific access rights. Things like read, write, modify descriptors, delete signatures, even revoke someone else's checkout if needed. You can also change who owns the document.
So full control. Finally, what about getting rid of documents? Deleting things.
Important process. They distinguish between logical deletion and physical deletion.
Okay, what's the difference?
Logical deletion is like moving something to the Windows recycle bin. It's marked for deletion, hidden from normal view, but it's still there in a special recycle bin area. It can be searched for and restored.
And physical deletion.
That's the final step. It means the object is irrevocably removed from the system, gone for good.
How do companies prevent accidental deletion?
Through retention periods and deletion locks. These are rules set up to say, for instance, this type of document must be kept for 7 years. The system then prevents deletion until that period expires. It's often a legal or compliance requirement.
What if you really need to delete something sooner for a valid reason?
There's a process called privileged deletion. It bypasses the normal retention rules for both logical and physical deletion, but because it's bypassing safeguards, it often requires separation of duties, meaning one person might perform the logical deletion, but a different person, maybe a system admin, has to approve and perform the final physical deletion. Adds a layer of control and accountability.
Okay, that covers managing individual documents. How does Doxis help organize groups of related information?
Great question. It offers several ways beyond just folders. One key concept is e-files.
E-files.
Think of them as document containers for grouping information by topic. So you might have a supplier e-file with all the contracts and invoices for that supplier, or a project e-file with all the plans, reports, and documents for a specific project.
So they hold the actual documents?
Not quite, and this is important. E-files primarily contain references to other information objects, links to documents, processes, maybe even other e-files. They don't usually hold the content itself.
Ah, okay. So if I update a document that's linked in an e-file.
The e-file automatically shows the updated version because it's just pointing to the live document. It avoids duplicating content and ensures everyone sees the latest info. Very efficient.
Clever. Can you structure things inside an e-file?
Yes, they have different folder types. Some might be predefined by the system administrator, others you can add manually. And they also have dynamic folders.
Dynamic. What do they do?
They automatically display content based on a saved search query. So every time you open that folder, it runs the search and shows you the current matching documents or objects. Really useful for keeping track of things that meet certain criteria.
How do you get things into an e-file?
You can manually add objects, just drag and drop existing documents or items into it. You can also create lists of URLs pointing to external websites or files. And they have something called attributes, basically, editable tables of text within the e-file itself. Good for tracking structured data related to the topic.
Okay, e-files sound useful. Are there other ways to organize?
Yes, there are also directories. These are more like the hierarchical folder trees you see on your computer's hard drive.
So like Windows Explorer folders.
Similar look and feel, but again, they manage references to documents.
Oh.
This means the same document can appear in multiple directory folders without being copied.
Why would you do that?
The guide says their purpose is typically used to provide different views on the same document pool. So different teams might organize or access the same set of documents through different directory structures that make sense for their workflow. Flexibility is key.
Are directories shared or private?
Both. You can have public directories accessible by multiple users and personal directories that only the owner can access. Good for shared structures and individual workspaces.
And do directories also have those dynamic folders?
Yes, consistency again. They can have static folders where you manually add items and dynamic folders that populate based on search criteria when opened.
Is there an easy way to get files from my computer into these directories?
Yep, automatic filing. You can literally drag files from Windows Explorer and drop them onto a directory folder in Doxis webCube. If it's set up correctly, the system can automatically index and file the document, often based on a predefined document class and maybe even pulling data from the file properties.
Streamlines things nicely. Anything else for organization?
One more structure mentioned is classification schemes. These are described as an often standardized structure, like a detailed table of contents, or maybe a legal classification system.
Standardized, like industry standards.
Could be. The guide mentions they're often used by public authorities. They provide a very formal, hierarchical way to organize an organization's written material centrally.
How does that work in practice?
Typically, the actual documents or e-files are assigned to the lower levels of the hierarchy. The upper levels exist mainly for structure and navigation, providing that clear, structured overview, like navigating a complex library's classification system.
And finding things in that structure.
You can navigate down through the hierarchy, level by level. Or If you know the unique code for a specific classification point, you can usually enter that directly for fast access, essential for large formal structures.
Okay, that covers organizing information. What about automating workflows?
Right. Doxis webCube has strong workflow capabilities built around business processes and tasks.
So mapping out how work gets done.
Exactly. Processes represent recurring business processes.
Mm.
Think invoice approval, contract review, things like that. They use workflow functions and can link to documents, e-files, even other processes.
And tasks are the steps within those processes?
Correct. Tasks can be manual tasks that require a user to do something, or automatic tasks executed by system programs called agents. Allows for a mix of human decision-making and automated steps.
Where do users see the tasks assigned to them?
In work baskets. These collect tasks for users. You can have personal work baskets just for you, or collective work baskets for a team, role, or department. Ensures tasks go to the right place.
What if a task is really complex? Can you break it down?
Yes, into sub-processes and subtasks. And the system is flexible here. These breakdowns can be predefined in the process design, or users can sometimes create them ad hoc on the fly if the process allows it. Handles unexpected complexity.
And managing your own tasks. What can you do?
Quite a lot. You can open tasks either exclusively to edit or just read only. You can postpone them, recall them as sent in error, restart them, skip optional steps, and mark them complete.
Can you pass a task to someone else?
Yes, you can hand off tasks to other users if needed. Essential for team collaboration when someone's away or workload needs balancing.
Do processes carry relevant documents with them?
Yes, they have an attachment list. You can add new documents or link existing ones from the system. You can even set one document as the main document for the process and define relationships using link codes. Keeps everything together.
Okay, that's structured workflow. What about more free-form teamwork? Projects?
For that, they offer collaboration projects. These are basically shared workspaces designed to facilitate teamwork. You access them via a specific collaboration projects area in the navigation bar.
How are these projects structured?
Two main ways mentioned. Public directory-based, or e-file-based, gives organizations options based on how they prefer to group project information.
And who controls access within a project?
Project managers set the permissions. They define who can do what, read, modify, add, delete. Participants can have different roles like followers, read only, maybe add notes, up to managers with full control, including managing tasks within the project.
Can you set permissions based on document properties or for limited times?
Yes, that's a powerful feature called access rules. You can grant permissions based on specific descriptor values on the documents or objects, and these rules can have expiry dates.
Oh, interesting. So temporary access for contractors, for example.
Exactly. Or time-limited access during a specific project phase. Very useful for managing access dynamically and securely.
Can you bring external people into these projects?
Yes, you can invite both internal colleagues and external users. Externals are often invited via secure email links that might have limited validity periods, again for security.
And can you just share one specific document temporarily without adding someone to a whole project?
Yes, the concept of temporary sharing allows this. You can share specific items with users who might only get access to the most essential functions needed to view or interact with that item. Controlled, targeted sharing.
Okay, we've got filing, organizing, workflows, collaboration. But how do you find stuff in what could be a massive system? Search must be critical.
Absolutely critical. And Doxis seems to have comprehensive search capabilities. You've got your standard search dialogues, where you can build detailed queries.
Okay.
And then you have quick searches, a faster way to search globally or just within the e-file or directory you're currently in.
What's the basic process? Define terms, run search, get results.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
You define your search terms, add restrictions if needed, submit the request, and the server sends back a result list, usually in a table format.
Is the searching smart? Like if I search for report, will it find reports?
It generally uses implicit wildcard search by default. So searching for master would find MasterCard because it looks for terms starting with your input.
But case sensitivity.
By default, for simple string searches, it seems to be case sensitive. So master wouldn't find master. You often have options to control case sensitivity, though.
What about more advanced searching, finding things that are similar but not exact matches?
Yes, especially with the Elasticsearch full-text search capabilities, which scan document content and optionally descriptors and annotations, too. They mention several advanced techniques.
Like what?
Fuzzy search. You can search for right in one And it might find writing because it allows for a certain edit distance, a small number of character changes. Great for catching typos or variations.
Yeah, useful.
And there's proximity search. You can search for word 1, word 2, N to find those two words within N words of each other, even if they aren't right next to each other. Helps find concepts where wording might vary slightly.
Okay, that's powerful for finding related ideas.
You can also boost the importance of certain terms using term boosting. Add N to a term to increase its weight in the relevant scoring. So contract to agreement makes contract twice as important as agreement in ranking the results.
Neat. Any other tricks?
Range search. You can search for terms alphabetically within a range, like term 1TO, term 2 inclusive, or term 1TO, term 2 exclusive. Good for finding items within specific code ranges, perhaps.
And combining things.
Yep. Use parentheses to group terms and apply operators or boosts to the whole group, like invoice or our bill to boost both terms equally.
What's this faceted search they mentioned?
That's very useful for refining results. After you get an initial result list, facets appear categories based on document properties or index values, like document type, year, department.
How do you click on those?
Exactly. You click a facet value, like invoice under document type, and the results instantly filter down. The counts next to each facet value update dynamically, showing you how many documents match each option as you filter. Great way to drill down.
Okay, so you've run your search, maybe filtered it. How do you work with the results list?
Typically, you get a table-style result list. Columns show properties and index values. Pretty standard, easy to scan.
Can you reorder it?
Yes, you can sort by single or multiple columns. Click the column header to sort, click again to reverse. Standard spreadsheet-like behavior.
What if I have hundreds of results? Can I group them?
Yes, grouping is an option. You can group the list by the values in one or more columns. This inserts collapsible outline levels, making large lists much easier to navigate.
Can I filter the results after the search?
Absolutely. Yeah. You can apply filtering directly to the result list, defining quite complex filters with multiple criteria using and/or logic. Further refinement.
Can I customize how the results table looks, change column widths?
Yes. You can adjust column widths, use an optimize function, and importantly, save your personalized layouts. So next time you run that type of search, it remembers your preferred column setup. Saves time.
Are there quick actions I can take directly from the results list?
Yes. Floating toolbars. When you select one or more objects in the list, a small toolbar often appears with common actions relevant to that object type, like open, edit, show versions, quick access.
Any alternative ways to display results besides a table?
They mention adaptive cards as an option for documents, e-files, and tasks. These can show profile pictures or custom icons, offering a more visual, maybe card-based layout instead of just rows of text.
What if I need the results data elsewhere? Can I export it?
Yes, you can export the result lists, including the descriptor values, usually to CSV format. Very handy for reporting or analysis in other tools like Excel.
And sharing search results. If I run a complex search, can I send it to a colleague easily?
Yep, sending links. You can generate a URL for your search result. When your colleague clicks it, Doxis webCube automatically reruns that exact search for them. Saves them having to replicate all your search criteria.
That's efficient. Are there any other smart search functions?
A couple are highlighted. One is descriptor bar search. After getting results, you select one, and a bar appears showing its index values. You can then tweak those values in the bar to find other objects with similar indexing. It's like saying, find more like this one, but maybe with a different year.
Iterative searching.
Kind of, yeah. Another is searching for similar content. If you've done a full-text search, you can select a result document and ask the system to find others with content similar to it. Uses content analysis, not just index values. Great for discovery.
That sounds powerful for research.
Definitely. And maybe the most proactive feature is subscriptions.
Subscriptions to search results.
Exactly. You can save a search query as a subscription. Then the system will automatically notify you whenever new objects are added that match your query, or when existing matching objects are changed.
So it watches for you.
Yes. You can even subscribe to work baskets to get alerts about new tasks or tasks nearing deadlines. These subscriptions can be personal, just for you, or public for a team. Turn search from reactive to proactive.
Okay, this system sounds incredibly powerful, but also potentially complex. How does it help the individual user feel comfortable and work efficiently? Personalization.
That's a huge part of it, making the system work for the user. We touched on the two main UI views, ICA and Classic, offering different starting points.
There's the ribbon.
right? The ribbon at the top provides context-sensitive functions. The buttons change depending on what object you have selected, putting the relevant tools right there.
What about the navigation bar on the side?
That gives access to functions maybe not in the ribbon, kind of an alternative entry point. And importantly, you can often customize it, add your own links or content.
Can I resize things? Make the document view bigger?
Yes. Users can adjust the window panes, resize sections to give more space to content versus navigation, for example. Simple, but makes a difference.
Does it work like a web browser with tabs?
Yes, it supports tabbed browsing. You can open multiple documents, searches, or e-files in different tabs within the main window, or even pop them out into separate windows. There are keyboard shortcuts, too, for power users.
How do you tell different things apart quickly? Like a document versus a task?
It uses special symbols, unique icons for different object types. Documents, e-files, tasks, search dialogues, favorites, folders, etc. Helps with visual recognition.
And are there deeper settings I can change?
Oh yes, extensive user settings. You can tweak how dialogues appear, default document display options, task notifications, e-file behaviors, dashboard layouts, even local storage settings related to components like Doxis webCube. Lots of control to match personal preference.
How does it help me get back to things I use often?
Several ways. It keeps a list of recently used objects, so you can quickly jump back to things you were just working on.
Like browser history.
Pretty much. And you can explicitly save favorites, frequently needed documents, e-files, tasks, even saved searches. They appear in a dedicated list, usually sorted alphabetically, for one-click access.
Can I make certain things open automatically when I log in?
Yes, the Auto Start group. You can configure specific objects, maybe your main work basket or a Cube project e-file, to open automatically every time you start Doxis webCube. Gets you right into your core work.
What about tracking activity on a document? Comments, history.
That's where activity feeds and notes come in. It's an optional component you can show in the object display. It aggregates notes, ratings, audit trail entries, the history log, and related tasks all in one place for that specific object. Gives you instant context.
And I can add my own notes there.
Yes, notes are text comments you can add. They're saved separately, don't change the document itself. You can create, edit, delete your own notes. Good for informal communication or reminders tied to an object.
Can you rate documents? Like a star rating?
Apparently, yes. You can add ratings, usually with stars, and add text comments. You can edit or delete your own ratings, and potentially others if you have the right permissions. Could be used for feedback or quality assessment.
Wow. Okay, we've really unpacked a lot here, from the basic library idea all the way to AI summaries and complex searches.
We've gone from the core structure, the digital library concept, through managing the entire document lifecycle, filing, viewing, editing, versioning, deleting, and organizing information with e-files and directories.
Right, and then automating work with processes and tasks, collaborating in shared project spaces, and the incredibly deep search capabilities. Fuzzy search, facets, subscriptions, it's quite something.
It really demonstrates how comprehensive these enterprise content management systems are. They handle security, access, intricate version control, audit trails, collaboration, advanced search, the whole 9 yards.
And I think understanding a system like this, even just from its user guide, really highlights how absolutely vital, organized, secure, searchable information is for any modern organization.
Totally agree. This deep dive shows that behind those smooth business processes we see, there's often this incredibly complex, highly configurable digital engine, making sure the information flows correctly, securely, and efficiently.
So thinking about all this, the level of detail, the automation, the embedded intelligence, it leaves me with a final thought, really. When we look at a system this intricate, how much of a company's actual intelligence, its operational knowledge, its process memory, maybe even its collective wisdom, isn't just in the heads of its employees anymore, but is actually embedded right into these digital environments where the information lives and breathes?
That's a profound question. The system as the organizational brain, in a way, definitely something to think about.